Oh, I can already see. I can already see, but you can't see me. There's a lot of hate coming in from all angles of the world. I love it, man. Hate from San Mateo. Actually, know exactly where that is because I grew up kind of around that area, I do suppose. Hate from Bulgaria. Nice one. Yes, we need more hate from the Balkans. I've been watching Spartacus recently, or not Spartacus, but like a YouTube 7-hour-long breakdown video of This is what I do. This is what I do for fun, honestly. I really enjoy it. But we need more Bulgarians because Spartacus was basically Bulgarian himself. Who else do we have? We got hate from all sorts of angles in the United States, from even Europe as well. Beautiful. We love that. We love hate from everywhere. We need more hate in this world, okay? It needs to be balanced out. You need to let the hate flow through you. Enough of this namaste bullshit. That obviously doesn't work all that well. You need to be balanced. We need balance. We need hate and we need love, but also hate. And that's the thing. People have forgotten balance is the key. Whatever happened to a balanced life? People think that means you need to work and play. No, it means you need some love and you need some hate as well. And that's all good. That's what we need. That's what we need. Much disdain from Germany. It sounds exactly like something a German would say. I much disdain you. I do not. I detest what you are doing, sir. Anyways. Denmark, fuck yeah, man. Denmark actually here is really, really nice. Unfortunately, we never got really a chance to even go over there, but it's kind of like separated from the rest of the Nordics, ain't it? So a bit different. Hate from New Zealand. Fuck yeah, I love New Zealand. Absolutely love New Zealand. Most beautiful place perhaps on the world. Maybe even better. Weather than Australia as well, man. Probably better to go there, honestly. Anyways, I appreciate all the birthday wishes. I should let you know it's actually not my birthday today. Tomorrow, September 2nd, is actually my birthday, but it's all good. I take it in good faith anyways. And much love and much appreciation to everyone out there, and much hate as well. We need to balance it out. Like I said, love and hate. We need love and hate and everything in between as well. That is what we need. Undecided from Canada. Undecided from Canada. We got a lot of things to talk about today, though. We do have the new September Open, obviously, being that today is September 1st. We got September statistics coming up. I'll do a big breakdown video tomorrow for September statistics, but today we'll get into like the fun stuff with it, because I do think that is massively misunderstood with September. Most people are aware of the sort of headlines that say September is the worst month for Bitcoin, which actually is not true. As we went over literally last month, we went over this last month with literal numbers, this is the problem. Many people don't even check shit for themselves. Like, it blows my fucking mind. August is the worst month for Bitcoin. You can prove this with fucking numbers if you just look at them. But I will look at it for you if you trust me well enough for that. And I can tell you that August is 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 of all Augusts in Bitcoin's history have been wins. You know what September is? It's actually 40%, so a little bit higher. And actually, August is going to be even worse now because we did just have a losing August. Now, I remember at the beginning of August, I made some posts about this both on YouTube and on Twitter. I won't be calling out names here, but I do remember very many people getting extremely mad at me, like really fucking mad at me for some reason. I really don't understand this, because I'm just relating the numbers. That's it. Like, whatever you get mad at, that's your own thing, okay? I'm just looking at numbers. That's it. I'm telling you what the numbers are. If I do the math wrongly, I can totally understand people getting mad at me, but the numbers are the fucking numbers. And many people were giving me a ton of shit last month in August, saying, look, don't you fucking know that August after a halving year is always bullish? Well, no, it's actually not. It's actually fucking not, as we just saw. Like, big down month, reversal fucking month. Crazy, fucking crazy. Blows my mind, man. Blows my mind that people will say something with such a great degree of certainty without even fucking checking for themselves. Like, for fuck's sake, I don't trust myself that much. I wish I had the conviction that that some of these people have, especially the people who are like really convicted of certain things happening, especially with their favorite, shitcoin or stock or whatever the fuck, even Bitcoin as well. All these things. I just do not have that strong convictions with anything. Because if you've been in this game long enough, you know that anything and everything can and will fucking happen, meaning that even if you have a very high degree of certainty towards something and, statistics are very much pointed in a particular way, there is always something that can come out of left field that will completely fuck it up. It's called a black swan event, a 10 sigma event, a very, very unlikely event, but unlikely does not mean impossible. It just means unlikely, improbable. Anyways, yeah, that's August. August is going to be even worse now because we just had another losing August, so it's probably going to be closer to like 30%. And as I just alluded to, September thus far is 40% historically speaking. But there is something really, really key with September, because just like people repeat that stupid statistic with September, what they also don't do is they don't look a little bit deeper into what actually happens during September, because there's a very, very clear pattern for September's, which is actually not bearish. It's actually not bearish, in fact, really at all. So we'll get into that a little bit later. Obviously, I'll give some time for people to join in here. Yes, I already have made the upgrade for the new well, it's not necessarily a new program, but I'll get into it in just a moment. Let me take a sip of this water though, man. Shame from London. You guys, the British should be very much shamed. I've actually been seeing a lot of Elon Musk hate on Britain recently. Or I guess he's not hating. I guess he's kind of trying to support in his own way, but crazy to see, man. I can't actually verify that for myself in Britain, because I haven't been there basically in a very long time. But I have been to many of the places in Europe. You know, Germany. I have been to France. I have been to Netherlands. And obviously Finland as well. And man, I can tell you, like, a lot of that stuff that you see on the internet, that is very true. That is very fucking true. It's, I know I might get some shit for that as well. But in my experience, from what I've seen with my own fucking eyes, a lot of that shit's true. Sip, then let the hate out. That's my fucking man, JCG. Indeed, sir. Indeed. Oh, yeah. And I also got some of this iced Americano over here, too. Ever since I went to Greece, we went to Greece like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago now. And I met up with one of the guys from this community, Mr. Alex Switch. Great fucking guy. Great Greek guy. And he introduced me to the best fucking caffeine experience I've ever had in my life. It's called a Freddo Espresso. A Freddo Espresso. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, it's similar to an espresso that's cold, but it's different still. It's something special, man. I've been searching for one ever since, and I cannot find it in anywhere else that I've been. The closest I can get is an iced Americano, which is also pretty fucking good, to be honest. Anyways, yeah, like I said, many things to be speaking about today. I'll just briefly talk about the changes for the program, just because I did put a new name on it. I should probably also send out an email about this, because people are going to get confused. Some people will get confused no matter what, I suppose. But yeah, I actually have renamed the Trade Like a Quant program to Krown's Trading Bible, because I think it's more accurate at this point, because one, it literally is my fucking Bible, and two, it's going to be incorporating, like I said, all of the other informational programs that I've created and will create in the future. So that means the TA program, you know, the basics of classical technical analysis are now in there. It is live right now at this moment. You also, of course, have the quantitative analysis, which was the prior program. I also add a little bit to that as well over time. Of course, there is now options, the full-on options experiences in there now too, and also trading psychology. So I just basically tripled or quadrupled the content. It's now got to be, I don't know, 70 or 80 hour long program. I mean, for fuck's sake, options alone is probably 30 or 40 hours, which is kind of crazy. Most people are probably not interested in options at all, but yeah, you know, it is a beast of a beast now. So I'm just going to be putting in all my shit there for the rest of my life, basically. That's where I want to consolidate everything into. So I'm not going to have separate programs for, like, you know, technical analysis or quantitative analysis or fucking options. You know, it's just all going to be in there. Again, I think that there's been some confusion about this. This does not mean that the service-based things are going to be included, like the quant prime or any of the indicators, basically. Those are going to be separate. Obviously, it's just a completely different thing to begin with, and also incorporates or is working with, you know, other coders. Typically, you know, there are people on that team is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, it just doesn't make sense to have it all in literally one place. But yeah, as far as the service-based things, those still stay the same. As far as the informational-based programs, those all get shoved into this damn thing over here. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, while you will be getting a lot of hate from Switzerland, you'll also be allowed to blow my Johnson for your birthday, nasty bitch. Amazing. I didn't know where that comment was going when I first started reading it. You know, I just saw it, and then it ended up in a very particular place. It's like Elsa's dancing. You never know what's going to happen. Elsa is one of the best dancers I've ever met in my life. Love raw honey in my coffee. You put raw honey in that? By the way, massive props to Henry Weinecker, because he is one of the big influences that I actually had for today's focus on statistics. I'll go into it deeper tomorrow, like I said, but we'll go over a cursory glance of it today. And I have changed it a little bit. I should let you know, Henry, but I have found some pretty damn interesting things, man. And again, credit to you for the initial inspiration. Are you Belgium? Yeah, Belgium. I've actually never really Belgium. Is it Belgium or Belgia? Belgium. I've never really truly been to, but I've looked at Bruges. That's where Tomorrowland is. Yeah. Also a lot of other things. I have looked at Bruges, which looks pretty damn cool. That would be something right up my alley. Looks like a Dubai apartment. No, we haven't been to Dubai in quite some time, man. We haven't been to Dubai in quite some time. In fact, I think I'm kind of done with Dubai. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted, but I don't know, man. I truly just feel bad when I'm there. There's something in the air. There's something in the atmosphere. There's something with just the day to day that I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting sicker and sicker. Like last time we were there, I couldn't stand it anymore, man. I just wanted to fucking leave. Huh? Yeah, we were sick like really often there too. We were sick like every time that we go, sometimes even multiple times. Like something's going on there, man. I'm telling you. Look, the architecture, absolutely beautiful. Very, very stunning. Very, very impressive. All of the biggest, best, this and that are going to be in Dubai, obviously. But as far as just like the day-to-day living, I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just my particular apartment or something like this. It was not good. It was not like, I just literally felt like my health was declining by being there. Yeah, eating sand, probably a lot of that, man. You know, my throat would hurt quite often. That could be many things though. Yeah, you need air purifiers and building with a good AC. Yeah, I mean, we were in a pretty good building, but at the same time, I think because of the humidity there, you get into issues with mold, and it's really difficult to get rid of once you actually have it. And I'm pretty sure, especially after, you remember that big storm that was in like, I think it was 2023 or 2024. There was like a humongous storm in Dubai where fucking everything flooded. It was crazy. Like people's furniture from their balconies was flying off into the streets. I think ever since then, it kind of got fucked up. Something like that, man. Yeah, and also personally, I need some trees and shit like that, man. I like trees. Trees are good. Trees are very good. You got sick because of all of the handshakes with people using their hands to wipe their Angus. That is true. There is not a proliferation of bidets there, but there was actually some. In fact, in our apartment, we did have a bidet, so that made me feel good. Mr. Filipiano is asking about MetaSignals. We can look at MetaSignals really quickly. In fact, that will be a part of today's analysis, just because I do think September is still likely to open up on a bounce. I've been saying the same thing for a while now. Like bounce first, figure it out later. So I think this September might be a little bit strange. And we also got a quarterly closing as well. But let's bring up that MetaSignals setup. I don't actually have it on my screen at this exact moment. I did see it earlier today, and let's see what we got over here. I think I've already posted it on my Twitter or my X, or I'm like starting to finally call it X. Anyways, yeah, so where did this one fire off? This one fired off a little bit, about where price action is right now, 109,390. Target number 113,200. That's a 74.25% almost strike rate. Stats are stats, man. Again, just because it's a very high win rate doesn't mean it's guaranteed to get hit. But if I'm a betting man, which I am, which everyone is who trades, using statistics basically, I like those odds. Target number 2, even, pretty good for target number 2, 57.5% almost at 117. I actually do think that is possible. Target number 3, I think, is a little bit less reasonable. That's 45.5%. But hey, that's just my opinion. Stats are stats. It is less than likely. That is true. However, at 119,675. So fair enough. Like I said, this month very likely to open up on a bounce. The question is what happens after a bounce into the mid portion of this month. That's going to be the big focus for me. Are you a tree hugger? I'm not like a real tree hugger. Like I'm not like a homosexual, but I do really like trees. Like I really like being around them. I like big ones. I really appreciate the ones, especially in Florida, because they have like this moss shit on them, and I don't know, it looks really, really cool. I think it's something to do with the U.S. South, something like that, man. Anyways, yeah. JCG says looking at the trading Bible looks overwhelming. It is. Quite honestly, it is at this point. But that's kind of what I want it to be. I just want it to be for like the true fucking super nerds. And look, anyone else, man, like 99.9% of people, you don't need a fucking $1,000 course or nothing like that. You just need to buy and hold. Okay, just buy and hold. I'm giving you the secret right now. Buy and hold. Don't fuck around with being like an active trader. That's only for the craziest of fucking redacts out there in the world. Autistic people like myself. I include myself among these people, but I understand that this is a extremely, extremely small subset of the population. So in general, if you're on the edge, the answer to the question is don't fucking get it. Just buy and hold. You're going to be fine. You're going to probably outperform most, super sophisticated hedge fund managers just by fucking buying and holding and DCAing, in the most simplistic way. Yes, there are even better ways to do it than that. That's what I hope to do in my sort of long-term investor sort of content that I'll be adding to that, but that's not coming for a long time because I do need more time in that space to do it. Like I said, I've only been doing long-term investing for about 6 years now. That is a very, very small amount in the grand scheme of things. Like the true legends that have been doing it, I mean, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, probably closer to like 30, 40, 50 years, not even 20 years really counts. So yeah. When do I buy though? Just fucking buy every Monday at 5 a.m. How about that? Just make something up. I literally just made that up. Okay. I'm not saying that that's the best way to do it. There are actually really good ways to DCA, and that would actually go into the monthly statistics. In fact, that gives me a really good idea. You know what? You just spurned upon an idea. Okay, hold on. Let me write this down. Okay, beautiful. All right. Need to write that up. Every time I have an idea, no matter how small or how big, I just write it into an email and then keep it as a draft. That's my super sophisticated way of keeping, track of all my shit. Anyways, what's up, Mr. Crypto Mimi? I've caught a live. You've caught a live, indeed. You've also caught AIDS, so congratulations, man. Trees. What do you think? We need oxygen or something? Says Creighton. Yeah, exactly, man. It is nice. It is really nice. Southern Ohio here, Krown. Nice, man. Big Cherry Beach, popular red and white oaks. Ohio is in where? No, Ohio is near Chicago. Yeah, because that's where I remember it from. Too cold in the winters, my man. I'm sure it is beautiful, though, but too fucking cold. What state? Oh my God, I sound so retarded. Ohio is a state. What's the city that's in Ohio that's very big? Or is, oh my God, I don't even know. Wow, I am the redact. Oh man, this is bad. I don't even know the cities and states anymore. I'm like Elsa. Is Mexico a city? Elsa thought Mexico was next to Florida. It's not. It's not. Again, guys, I appreciate the birthday wishes. It's actually not my birthday today. Tomorrow, September 2nd, is my birthday, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. Cincinnati and Cleveland. Yes, okay, Cleveland. That's what I'm thinking of. Cleveland, Ohio. Ohio is a state. Cleveland is the city. Yes, okay, there we go. All right. Jesus, man. Really bad. Like, how do I forget that kind of stuff? I guess it's not that important to my life, but yeah. Columbus. Yeah, Columbus. Cincinnati's in Ohio. Okay, actually didn't know that. It has a cool name, though. Probably one of the... Can you say Cincinnati? Elsa really struggles with a few American city names. There's Cincinnati. What was the other one? Connecticut. Yeah, Connecticut, the state. That's a really difficult one. Connecticut. All right. I know. I can't even say Elsa's name. It's crazy. Anyways, let's see. Okay. All right, this is going to be a little bit sloppy with this analysis because I was like literally finishing up a shit before we got onto this one, so I didn't really have a great time to write down some notes. But this is really a preparation for tomorrow's video, anyways. So we'll go through some daily statistics, but of course the big focus is going to be on the monthly statistics and then all of the monthly setups basically going on here. So daily statistics, of course, Monday is actually the most likely weekday out of any day to close positively, not by like a huge margin, 53.25% of all Mondays since this bull market began closing positively. But as always, we care most about the average percent gain and the average percent loss. I do think today, Monday, is likely to be a gainer in that case. And the average gains for Monday on those positive closing Mondays is about 2.5%, which if Bitcoin were to play out a move like that, to put it in perspective, that would put Bitcoin at 111. I actually don't think that that's going to happen today, but I do think Bitcoin will close green today. And I don't know, maybe it gets a little bit closer to that number. Maybe it gets up to like 110 or something like that. Of course, to the downside, if it were to play out, which I don't think is going to happen today, but hey, if it did, 191 is the average return on the negative side. That would put Bitcoin at 106,227. So fresh low for this move to the downside. But as I've been saying since last week, and yes, Bitcoin did drop a little bit lower than where we were last week, but I do think this is a kind of a bouncy period to open up this month. And then if there's going to be downside, it likely happens later in this month. I can be very much wrong on this, of course, but Bitcoin's been more or less straight down since August 14th. So what's like a week worth of bounce? It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to get up super high or anything like this, but it's a little bit too easy. It's a little bit too slow and controlled here. We're not really getting like erratic behavior just yet on this downside move since Bitcoin put in the high on August 14th. But of course, the big focus, like I said, is on the monthly returns, the monthly statistical returns for all Septembers in Bitcoin's history. And the common sort of knowledge touted on great social media venues like Twitter, like YouTube, like Reddit, like whatever the fuck you watch or listen to, is that September is the worst month for Bitcoin. September is historically a bad month for Bitcoin. We have seen worse. Like I said earlier, August is actually the worst month for Bitcoin. We've said this many times during August. August again was a negative month, so the win percentage for August is going to even be lower than 33 1/3. September, by contrast, is 40% thus far. Now, 40% of all September's closing positive is still, quite bad for Bitcoin in general. But I just don't understand why people continue to parrot that stupid fucking stat when it's just literally not true. Like, you even see dummies like, I shouldn't say dummies, no, I'm being way too judgmental. I'm very, very sorry about this, but very highly esteemed long-term investors like Tom Lee, who say September is just the worst month for Bitcoin. I think it was him, or maybe it was someone else. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, in which case I would apologize. But yeah, my point is that that's actually statistically not true. Now, September's not great, obviously, in its totality, with 40% of all September's closing positively. But again, we're interested in the average loss returns, the average win returns, because these play out really fucking well, especially on the median side. You can generally count on those, somewhere around there is almost always going to put you in the ballpark. Not always, but very often it will. That's what statistics are for. So on the losing side, Bitcoin has lost an average of almost 13%, with the median coming in at 8%. To put that into perspective for September here, if Bitcoin were to play out 8% to the downside from the open, that'd put Bitcoin down around about $99,500. I actually do think that is possible this month, or at least on this downside move, whether it happens this month or in October. If it were to go for the deeper of those around the average, I think that was closer to like 12% or something. That would be about $95,000. That's going to be another big number for Bitcoin here. But I do think that there's a lot of hopium, especially around $100,000. At least, at the very, very least, I'd be expecting a big fucking bounce. On the other side, for the winning Septembers, the very few of them that do exist, it's about 7 and 5% respectively. So kind of close to each other right there. Again, putting that into perspective to the upside, where that put Bitcoin at about 114 and a quarter to maybe like 116. And I do think that is even possible on this bounce. That's effectively the open for August. And very, 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 very commonly, we see the opens of every month tested on the following month. It's kind of actually a pretty simple trading strategy. And generally, you can scalp those moves. Usually they don't necessarily, I'm not saying that they're going to hold or not. I'm just saying that on the first pass, trading back up to the open or trading back down to the open of the prior month, you almost always get a bounce around there or a pullback, depending upon which way you come at it from. But as always, we are much more interested in the super nerdy data over here, which I'll get into a little bit of this. Like I said, tomorrow's going to be the big video drop on that, because I really want to go deep into September statistics, because I think that is really massively misunderstood. And Bitcoin for September lows is super interesting here, because okay, this is not correct. Hold on. Positive. Yeah. Okay. Whoops. These ones I included by some imagination. So Bitcoin September lows for positive closing Septembers, again, there's only been, a very minimal amount of them. Typically the average date of the month for the low being put in is very late compared to any other month. If you recall, typically for most months that close positive on average, and also, on median, we typically see the low of the month within the first week, and in some cases, like very early within the first week. September is not like that. September typically, even in the event of positive closing Septembers, sees the low of the month around the 10th day. So after the first week. That's on average. Again, after the first fucking week. I can't think of another month where it is similar to this, to be honest. On the negative side, we also see something that is really different than most other months. Instead of seeing the average come in near the end of the month, we actually see it coming in around, the 2.5 weeks in, around day 16 and a half, the median being day number 17. that is super, super unique compared to any other month. And so this prompted me, as well as some information from my good man, Mr. Henry Wanneker, who's a nice member of this community as well, prompted me to look a little bit deeper into this data, because we see something that is very clearly predicated upon about the middle of September, meaning that something is changing around the middle of September. What is important that happens around the middle of September? Well, event-wise, there's a very, very important thing. It's called quad witching. Quad witching, okay, you actually can't even see. I realized that the chat box is covering the negative side, but I promised you I will read it off correctly. But yeah. So what happens around the middle of September? What's a big event that happens around middle of September? It's quad witching. That only happens, as the name would imply, 4 times a year. Why is it a big deal? Because you have 4 major expirations. This is the biggest expiration date. You know how all of these fucking dumb media places always say, not always say, but generally say something like, there is 1 billion in options expiring on Friday. Wow, that's huge. No, it's fucking not, okay? Usually it doesn't matter at all. But these expirations really do matter, because this is where the big money typically is positioning, on quad witchings. That's why it actually matters. These are the big, highly liquid, high volume strikes for options contracts, and then typically futures as well. So you got 4 major expirations happening on the same date. This is when it happens for I guess lead into Q4, or it's for Q3 obviously, but that's the big one. So we notice a change in behavior around that date. The low of the month typically coming in around the middle of September, positioning for that quad witching. That is my theory on this. Do I have a way of proving it? Kind of, actually. So let's go a little bit deeper into the data. What I've done here is I've measured from the middle of September, the 15th of September, just taking kind of a blind midpoint for September, because there are 30 days. And I measure from the 15th of September open to the closure of September 30th. So basically the midpoint of September to the end of September. That is what I'm measuring here for price statistics. And what I found is that 12 out of fucking 15, 80% of the time from the midpoint of September to the end of September actually is a positive period for Bitcoin. Very interesting. So what is happening? Big money managers are probably flipping their positions going into that quad witching from, I guess, typically negative going into it, then to positive. Now, is that positive through the back half of September enough to pull through and make the month positive overall? Obviously not, because our general statistics tell us that that does not happen like that. Bitcoin typically closes negatively for September anyways, but still, the low is generally put in around the middle of September, and then the back half of September is typically a time to rally. Now, admittedly, I do think that this September will be different. I think that Bitcoin rallies first and then falls. But hey, this is what statistics show. Again, my personal opinion is against statistics. That's just my personal opinion. Again, it very well might be wrong. In fact, I hope that it is wrong. But at the end of the day, the numbers are what the numbers are. That's what I like to present. That is the important thing here. Now, the average return for those gaining times, is pretty small, to be fair. I mean, it's about 4%. But of course, that depends where we are around, September 15th for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin's hanging around here, then we could add 4% from here. But until then, I would, kind of hold off on judgment. And of course, on the other side, I should note that the average negative return for losing times for the back 2 weeks of September is actually very high. It's 13.25%. I actually do think that that's a lot more likely to happen, to be honest. Rally first, somewhere around here, then come down like 13%. That puts you at $100,000. That would look absolutely picture perfect to me. I do think Bitcoin will at some point come down to $100,000. There will be bounces along the way, obviously, but give it some time. Like I said, my personal opinion, my personal disposition, which you don't have to fucking follow. You can draw your own conclusions from this data as you will, which you should. You should use your own brain as always. But that is my personal disposition, that Bitcoin is in a multi-month long correction here, which started basically in July. We've been going sideways, and we'll probably go a little bit more sideways and down into the end of the year. And then I think that there actually will be another try to the upside. And I don't think we're going to get like a bear market from here. I think we're going to get another stair step, exactly as you've seen throughout the last 3 years. I think it's going to be something like this. And I think that that's going to go on for a long time. Just, again, personal opinion. I might be fucking super wrong on this. But why else do I think that Bitcoin is likely to bounce to begin this month? Well, if we go over here, back to the meta signal setup, for anyone who missed it. Again, this one did fire off at 109,400 almost. kind of where Bitcoin is at right now. And target number 1 is 113 and change, and that is a 74.25% strike rate. So that is relatively high. Even target number 2, 57.5%, would put you somewhere around 117, which I do think is very much possible, or somewhere around there. So again, stats are stats. The further that you get up, go up from there, I do think it's quite unlikely personally, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna take more sips of this water while you marinate on those thoughts, and then we'll get into some more nerdy shit. Okay, let's talk about some more nerdy shit. What's up, Mr. Van Duysen? Good to see you as always, man. I've been really enjoying my my third age Total War Divide and Conquer campaign, man. I'm fucking killing it right now as the Erebor dwarves. Okay, I have very powerful dwarves. They're very, very staunch. They hold that fucking line no matter what, man. My Dragon Slayers are fucking slaying all kinds of rune ass. Anyways, we'll get into that one a little bit later. Where was the one that I was looking for? Where's my herpaderpa? Where's my favorite little indicator? You bastard, come over here. Where are you? I think I found it. This one's got to be it. Where is it? Yes, there it is. Okay, thank God, man. I thought I didn't even add my chart today. Yeah, so a couple things here on the herpaderpa. The HPDR. Okay, so on spot price action, Bitcoin's been living below the median for quite some time. I do want to acknowledge that the 38.2 level has actually dropped, so we're seeing a step down here. That is going to be a natural area of interest if Bitcoin were to get down around there, meaning that I would be really expecting a humongous bounce if Bitcoin were to get down around there. That's actually a lot lower than what I expected. That's at 92,500 or so. I don't think that necessarily has to happen this month, but maybe even October, I think is possible. Of course, though, the big focus at the end of last month was CME's herpaderpa, which is slightly different here because we did see a rejection of the median, like right on the median. And actually, surprisingly enough, Bitcoin has actually opened above the median to start September, which I guess is some hopium, at least to start this month off with a little bit of a rally. But here's the thing. If Bitcoin really starts to come back down below the median, that does imply that we are going to see a much steeper pullback than what I think is likely at $100,000 as of right now, because that median is about 106 basically. So if we start to see weekly closures below 106, it is, as of right now for September, maybe this changes in October, but as of right now in September, it wouldn't be wise of me to say that I do think the low will be at $100,000. It likely would come lower, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that this gets drawn out, so we probably reference this again in October, and it's probably going to be different, or it will very likely be different. But for right now, that's kind of what it would be saying. So just heads up on that. So 106, big balancing point here for Bitcoin. Below there, yes, there is like around $100,000, give or take, a little bit from that number. But technically speaking, both Spot and CME do agree that if that move were to happen this month in September, it would actually imply in kind of like the mid to low 90s, to be fair. So yeah, that is there. So fair enough. Again, like I said, I think that this corrective period is going to last a few months. I think it's going to last some time. That's okay. I think that it sets things up more long-term for a nice stair-step-up behavior. We don't want, look, unless you're like a crypto redact who survives off of dopamine, you don't actually want things to go parabolic, because when things go parabolic, the way you go up is the way you come down. That's one of the amazing phrases that I learned from my mentor very early on, and it's been 1,000,000% true in my experience. The way you go up is the way you come down. When you fucking parabolic blow off top, you are gonna fucking doombolic blow off your fucking Angus. It's going to happen. Anyways. Moving on from there, I also want to acknowledge again that the 3-day red versus yellow moving average right here, this setup has nearly fully played out. Maybe we do get a stab down around there first before Bitcoin gets a rally. Maybe it comes down later. I don't know, but that is technically still not been fulfilled as far as the exit condition. That is coming in around 106,630 at this moment. So, or sorry, 106,590. So technically, we do expect that move to happen sooner rather than later. Only once or twice we've seen this take more than a month to play out. In all other cases, usually a week or less, around a week or less than a week. Certainly less than 2 weeks. But in this case right here, it's really close already, to be fair. So I don't know. If you did take that one, congratulations. I think it could still get drawn out a little bit more, to be honest, though. Anyways, okay, we've got that. We've got that. Of course, looking at monthly stochastic momentum, we should see that monthly stochastic momentum is actually still positioned to the upside here. Surprisingly enough, it's at 102,400. That also would imply some really severe issues if Bitcoin really does come below $100,000, because we will see a full reset on this on bearish divergence alongside probably bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. Let's go check this one out as well. Yeah, there would be bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. There already is two drives right here. This would be the third strike. Typically 3 strikes and you're down and out towards at least the yellow moving average. That's actually significantly lower as well. But again, this one is not confirmed just yet. Or is it confirmed? No, it is not confirmed just yet. Close, but no cigar. And then, of course, we also do have something completely new here as well, which it does. I mean, look, I'll just present to you the data as it is. You take away your own conclusions. The bi-monthly time frame for the stochastic momentum oscillator is threatening a cross to the downside for the first time since July of 2021. In fact, the only times we've seen this one cross the downside, whether it's in the critical zone or not, have been the end of market cycles, to be fair. Like I said, I don't think it's going to look like that this time. I think it's going to be a stair step and just sideways and boringness, and that'll be kind of like the bear market, and it'll be fucking mind-numbingly boring. I can assure you of that. If it does happen in the way that I think it will happen, it'll make you capitulate just via boredom. But yeah, you know, we're talking about cross down last time, July 2021. The time before that was November 2017. The time before that was January 2014. And this one will officially cross the downside if we finish, you know, obviously not this month, but the end of October, which is the next bi-monthly closure, below 111,650, 111,650. And I do think that at least you're going to see a reconnect with the red moving average here, because just like the monthly time frame, you do see reconnects with that red moving average basically on each and every candle, and each and every fucking dildo. And on top of that, whenever you don't, price action typically trades sideways until it does, just like you see right here. You know, this one disconnects, reconnects, boom, up. This one disconnects, reconnects, up. You know, you get the idea. So generally things trade sideways. Yes, you can even get, you know, big wicks to the upside away from it in, you know, in between, but it still finds its way back. It still finds its way back home. It does seem like each and every time. So, you know, as of right now, that red moving average is 100,500. So I do think that that is a legitimate area of interest sometime in the next 2 months, hopefully sooner rather than later. But, you know, if that comes in October, then that comes in October, whatever. Anyways, yeah, that pretty much is it for what I wanted to speak about on this live stream. We'll get into some of the comments now. Like I said, I'll go through a much more detailed look into this on tomorrow's video. I think it's just easier to kind of do on those videos. But I want to keep things moving here. What's up, Mr. Ben Chair? Good day to you as well. Good day to you as well, Mr. Redact. Good. I'm also a Redact as well. Just one moment. I'll take another few sips of this, then we'll get into the actual analysis of the day. Does September close opposite of August close? I don't know. I guess we can just very quickly check this one out. This one did. This one did. This one did not. This one did, this one did, this one did not, this one did not, this one did, this one did, this one did, this one did not. I mean, it's certainly not a rule. This one did not, this one did not, this one did not. I would say it's about 50-50, maybe slightly less in favor of what you're speculating there. As always, my man. People say the darndest things on the internet. You remember that? You remember Bill Cosby? Kids say the darndest things. Why is that funny? Why is that funny? Do you think raping women is funny, Elsa? You know, she said yes. Okay, I didn't say yes. All right, Elsa said yes. Disgusting. Okay, I do not agree with what Mr. Bill Cosby did. Don't do it. Don't rape. Okay, that's what we believe here in this household. We even have a sign in the background. It says don't fucking rape people. It's bad. Okay, very simple. Anyways, let's get into some actual comments over here and get off of that topic. Stephen Schickman says, happy birthday. Thanks, man. Again, it's not actually my birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday, but I do appreciate it. How is Doggy looking? Oh, man. I mean, probably doesn't look much different at all than last time we looked at it, to be honest, man. But let's check it out. Let's see what the higher term timeframes, if they've changed at all. Monthly time frame actually continues down here on, oh, sorry, that's bi-monthly. Monthly time frame will actually cross up here. Which one do I trust, the monthly or the bi-monthly? The bi-monthly has called all of the highs in past market cycles. The monthly has not, but man, this is what makes it really hard. I would still say, man, as my rule is, as long as you're above all major moving averages, don't be bearish. But the second that this thing really comes back down below 20 cents is where I say, hey, man, it's time to be realistic about this and say that it's coming back down to 15 cents. But until then, I guess can have some hopium. I have these rules in place for myself just because I've seen it happen too often. And it's better to kind of err on the side of the general trend rather than against it. But I don't want to be like blowing you smoke or nothing like that, because I really do think that this one will break down, to be honest. I would personally treat this one as bearish as long as you're below 25.5 cents. I think that's that's the proper play here. 5-day stochastic momentum is turning down below 22 cents at close tomorrow night. Weekly is also turning down below 21 cents, or kind of where it's at right now. All of it's kind of balancing around where it's at. So I would say 20 cents is where, the hopium starts to get unconfirmed, if you will. Sorry, not unconfirmed, but the doomium gets more confirmed. I don't know. Do you even really call it doomium if it comes down to like 15-ish cents? It's not necessarily like a full-on reversal, but it is a big downside move. When I look at the daily, I'm just not getting anything unique from this chart, to be honest with you, man. I wish I had a better analysis for you, but I don't. And again, the quarterly, this is not terrible as it stands. Still got another month left to go. But yeah. Margozina says, happy birthday. Appreciate ENA 4-hour daily. Sure. ENA. Okay. This is Arthur Haynes' favorite chit coin, or among his favorite chit coins. Look at it. Looks like it finally bounced up here too. But again, well, at least it's not that old. And it has had some rallies during this cycle, so there's that. But I do think it's putting in a high here. Just, again, shooting you straight. I do think that it's putting in a high here. Yeah, weekly, I think that this thing's a lot more likely to come down to 54 cents than it is to march back up towards 80 cents. I'll just put it that way. Momentum turning down, volatility extremes right here as well. It might trade sideways in the short term a little bit, but I do think it comes back down to mid to low 50s, probably even fails below there given enough time, but that would take more than a month, I would imagine. Yeah. Crypto Rect RD says, hey man, all good. BERTUSD. BERT? This is a thing? I need my BERT face back, man. I love that thing. BERT, well, the good thing about this is that it just hasn't been around for that long, so it's easier to not look as shitty, I suppose. And even on the daily, it does have a nice little uptrend here. But what exactly are you looking at? Okay, you're looking at a daily. Short term, does it try another rally back up to 8 cents? I think it's possible, but I think that this is a top being put in here. Let's see it from this angle. It's going to be a little bit easier to call potential. Okay, this actually looks really good on the monthly. Okay, maybe I needed to eat my words. Okay, let it rally first. I think it could get back to like 8 cents or so. I would only treat it bearish if it comes back down and close below the price action pivot here at 6.5 cents. Fuck. By the way, I completely forgot to mention, we have a sale going on for Labor Day. We have a sale going. Probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier. All right, here's the code. It's 20% off of literally everything, even the price action pivots, which is probably the most newbie-friendly indicator of all time, and also my guilty pleasure. But it is, how do you spell labor? Yes, labor 2025. That is the code, labor 2025 in all capitals. Right there for you. Again, can apply 20% off to any one of the programs or services that we have. No exclusions, no nothing. You can just literally get it exactly like that. There you go. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's get back into it now. Yeah, as far as BERT goes, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt as long as you're above this price action pivot. But the second that you fucking close below there on a daily, this thing I think is putting in a major high and coming down all the way, like 4 cents ish. Something like that. Go with Boris. What's up, man? All good. Another Bulgarian living in Brazil. Fuck yeah. We love it. We love it, man. How do you like Brazil? I mean, you must love it if you're there. I've heard mixed things. I think it just probably depends on where you go, like most places, right? Crypto Rect is looking at Syrup. Okay, Syrup. This one was one of the better movers in the summer, but is it still actually holding itself up rather valiantly here, I would say, and I would be biased towards the next move to the upside, actually. You have a price action pivot on both sides of the range here. Basically, Saturday the 23rd's high at almost 50 cents. And of course, last Sunday's low at about 38.73. This one I actually do think is going to pop through the top side of this and probably put another rally towards 55, 56, 57 cents, something like that. It's actually quite constructive behavior right here for Syrup. And again, it has been one of the better actors throughout the summer. So that does give it some relative strength. And if Bitcoin's, if I'm biased towards Bitcoin bouncing here to open up this month, then I kind of have to be biased towards something like this, which has been acting well, trying some upside as well. But if you want to go by the book, the price action pivots are the two boundaries here to be aware of. Above this one, good, basically going back to the highs more or less. Below this one, bad, basically going back down to the 200 simple at 30 cents or so. So yeah, I believe last week I probably was more bearish on this one. I would start to change my opinion here. This one's starting to do something different and acting well compared to what I'm going to guess we're going to see mostly today. Live, laugh, love, Welly. What's up, Welly? Good morning, Sir Krown. Good morning to you, sir, as well. Radium Daily Weekly, please. You handsome fella. I appreciate that. I'm blushing. Thank you very much. I'm the youngest and most prettiest rat face on the internet. Let's see. Radium. I know this one's been around since 2021, and we don't have price action history here since 2021. So that bothers me. If I was just looking at this, I think it's back down to $3, but I know that there's something better than this. Oh, there we go. There's a crypto chart. All right, there we go. That's what I was expecting to see. Let's go to the real chart. Yeah, that's also what I was expecting to see. And I still think, it will head down here, back down to like $3 or so. Yeah. But technically not confirmed until we do see a closure below 320. If you want to go by the book, that's where the most recent price action pivot is. I think it's kind of a formality with this many drives of bearish divergence come off the last few highs. I think this one's coming down. Just again, shooting you straight, man. John Dude says, Litecoin derp USD. High time frame, please, sir. Got it, man. Litecoin the derp. Light derp. Let's go to the monthly. Again, these things that continue to remain above all monthly major moving averages, like I said, my rules, I'm not going to be bearish. I do think this one is very prone to failing here and very prone to coming down to like 90, low 90s, basically. That's my personal opinion. If you want to go by the book, we'd want to see a closure below like 105 or so on a daily time frame. Until then, I think short term, you probably get a rally alongside Bitcoin, maybe even all the way back up to like 118, 117, 118. But I would treat this one as bearish on the daily as long as you're below this price action pivot at 125. So yeah. Like I said, the monthly is what gives hopium long term. But the second that it really comes back down below $100 or whatever the low was from August and closes, higher term time frame below there, that's where I'm like, this thing's headed back down into the low 90s and probably gonna be bounced along the way and blah 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 blah. But not gonna be great from there. Quarterly still okay. Quarterly makes me think that there's hopium as well. So it's the very high term time frames that are actually still okay here. It's the lower time frames that give me a little bit more pause for caution. Typically higher term time frames will outweigh the lower term time frames. But of course, during any major reversal, you're going to see it first on lower term time frames. So that's what makes the game a little bit difficult. Crypto Rect is looking at useless on a daily. It's a great name for a crypto coin. Very appropriate. And useless coin may indeed, overall, I think it's going down, man. Do you get a rally back up to 22 cents before it comes down hard to 10 cents? I think it's very possible, if not even likely. So, maybe a short-term rally back up to like 20 or 22 cents. Then, I do think that it will come back down at some point to 10 cents. This is, in my opinion, a monthly reversal here. Just, again, being very fucking candid about this, I think that this one's reversing on the monthly. It's dunzo sunzo, but short-term, does it rally? Yes. And that, maybe daily looks fucking weak, but if it does rally like 22 cents, maybe something like that, I'd just be bearish on this thing as long as you're below, especially 30 cents. I generally think it's topped out. Nicholas Carolyn says, happy birthday. Hate from Africa. Thank you as well, sir. BBWP versus Stochastic on high term time frame for, I'm guessing you mean for Bitcoin. Yeah, we can do that really quick. Let's go over here. I'm guessing you mean like versus the 5-day, because that's where the big setup is a brewing here. And yeah, man, BBWP is very low right now. So there is a multi-digit percentage move in brewing, but I don't think it's ready just yet. I do think it's very close. I mean, in terms of like closures for the 5 days, I mean, maybe that could still put us out into like deep September, honestly, you know, if it bottoms out here and then turns back up. I mean, if I were to just kind of like LARP line it out, I would estimate very late September / early October. But yeah, there is a big setup here brewing. You know, I would imagine with a signature like this has really been low for a very long time. You're looking at 25 to maybe even like a 50% move up or down. Now, of course, the 5-day stochastic oscillator is very heavily positioned to the downside here. And this is what you see during, you know, major downside moves. So as long as it's positioned to the downside, whatever volatility explosion that we get is significantly more likely to move to the downside. In fact, all of the ones that we've seen throughout this cycle on these corrective signals for the volatility versus stochastic momentum setup have made it at least to the green moving average, which is $100,000. So there is that. Can I pin your message? All right, post your message and then maybe I'll pin it, but it better be good. All right, there we go. Elsa did her message. Very nice, very, very lovely. Anyways, should probably, you know what we should actually do is we should actually you should put the coupon code for the sale in there, because probably most people missed it, honestly. But yeah, you know, as long as it's positioned to the downside, that is a downside setup, statistically speaking. But hey, you know, if this thing eats up most of September while volatility continues to contract and bottom out there, and like let's say, you know, again, just kind of LARP lining it out, maybe it's somewhere down around here and then it's starting to turn up, then that would be a bullish setup. So it completely depends upon volatility's ability to explode. And while this is very, very low, I don't think it's going to be a V from here. I think it's going to stay lower, continuing to kind of bottom out, and that can easily take another month. Again, this is a 5-day time frame. Every period is 5 days, so it eats up a lot of time. Darkra says, "Are you related to Whitera?" Gee, man, no one is going to get that reference. Maybe like one person out of a million. You can have your message, but also say Labor Day sale with the code Labor 2025. Try to spell it right as well. Platinum daily weekly is consolidation over. Let's see. It's okay. I have a hard time spelling it as well. All right, it's not you, it's me. Platinum. Is a consolidation over? No, I wouldn't say so here, but I do think that this one will retest the highs, maybe even make slightly new highs. Well, let's see on a monthly. I mean, look, man, volatility just hit critical levels on the monthly and the weekly. So I'm more inclined to say that this thing can consolidate for longer, honestly. The consolidation hasn't even really begun. But I would be bullish on this. Don't get me wrong. Whatever resolution, I would be certainly biased towards the upside here. It's just, do I think it's going to explode from here? Maybe it makes a slightly new high, kind of like some that Bitcoin did, make a slightly new high, come back down, consolidate more, and then stair step it up. I think that's, wait, stop. What the fuck? Damn brush. I ain't a fucking painter. There we go. Anyways, you get the idea. But overall, the direction is up. I just would not be bearish on this thing as long as you're above the July low of 1261, or sorry, 1258. You know, as long as you're above there, I would be very bullish on this thing. So it's like, if you're talking about this consolidation, yeah. I mean, but I think that was probably obvious. You probably already knew that. If you're talking about like the short term, I don't know about that. I don't know if it's necessarily moving exactly right now. But overall, I'd be bullish on it. I do really like it as far as the chart goes. Pizza says, "Hi, good sir. Can you look at XRP?" I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Okay, so last week we said, or in August we said, hey, 290 target on this thing is likely, based off of the setups and everything. Then last week we checked on it and we said probably lower again. And I think it's kind of around what we're looking at now, 270-ish region. I mean, it's hard not to at least look for a full-on reconnect with the red moving average. So I believe we were looking for about 260 if that current level failed, or 260 to 265. I do think that that's still rather likely. There should be a bounce there, but it is absolutely critical. It is paramount that this thing bounces there. Otherwise, I would really be looking significantly lower, like 230 to 240-ish region. And this one is, to be fair, making a bit of a descending triangle here based off of the price action pivots. And I mean, technically, if you're going off of the daily, this is bearish as long as you're below 314, or sorry, 312.5. And it's in the process of like breaking down, maybe even right now, but I don't think it's going to work like that. I think it's going to kind of spend some time bouncing around here. I mean, most things will bounce around that yellow moving average on the first pass. And then if it breaks down, you'll know because there's some sort of like a daily or a weekly closure below 260. And at that point, I think that this one completely unravels most, if not all, of the rally that we saw in the summer. Yeah, kind of a hard one though. I mean, it's like most things are probably going to at least try bounce. This thing could bounce all the way up to like 290 or $3, and it doesn't even change the daily trend. Daily trend will get flipped above 312.5. So it's got a lot of work to do, man. It wouldn't be my pick right now, to be honest. So maybe a short-term bounce. Personally, I do think it will fail here and it will come lower towards like 240-ish, 230-ish region, something like that. Come back to it after that and see what's up. Again, that is just a personal opinion. Chris Vela is looking at MicroStrategy. Sure, we can look at MicroStrategy, MSTR. Let's see. Yeah, so we've been bearish on this one for a while now. I'm still looking for like low 300s, 310 or so. I think it probably does happen in this month of September. There should be a big bounce off of low 300s. And I'm not, and at that point, I don't really have any major opinions about it. I do think there is really potential to come down well below 300 to like 265, 270-ish region. But first, there should be a pretty big bounce off of low 300s, I'd imagine. Again, like this thing is, there's just nothing bullish about this as long as you're below this high right here. And that's very fucking far away. You know, this one is corrective at best right now. You even have the red moving average crossing the underside of the yellow one. I think you're on a collision course with the green moving average minimum. And I do think that there is potential for lower, but there should be a big bounce off of that area first. Then we come back to it and see if that's going to be the bounce. But yeah, when I look at more of these timeframes, I am really inclined to say I actually do think it will come lower overall. But if you want to go by the book, that's kind of how I'd look at it in that case. There should be a really big bounce off of that region. You updated it? Amazing. All right, let's see it. Let's see your update. Give me the update. Give it to me now. Replace the pin message. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. We got that. Luti Muradova, definitely Russian. Sorry. I don't know if that's offensive or not. Probably not. Anyways, Syrup, I think we literally just looked at that. Yeah, this is one of the few that actually looked kind of good to me, to be honest. Which might be a counter signal in and of itself. But to be honest, like I actually do think that this thing is going to try some upside. If you want to go by the book, I want to see it close above 49.5 cents. At that point, I think that this thing's on a pretty big move towards like 58 to 60 cents, maybe even just tests a prior high, maybe makes new highs on something like this. Just not bearish, most importantly, as long as you're as long as you're above about 40 cents on the weekly, especially. I'd give this one the benefit of the doubt. It's one of the best charts we've seen today, probably due to the fact that it just doesn't really have long-term history. But hey, got us call a spade, and this one, it is the objectively best chart we've seen today, at least in the crypto space. Hey, all good, Pete. I appreciate it, man. Really do appreciate it. Straight Path says GM Krown on CIFR weekly, monthly. I see no volume shelf above $8. Volume shelf, not a term that I use or really care about, to be honest, but I think I know what you mean. Basically, there's no like overhead supply. I don't know. I really dislike that sort of terminology because it implies subjective analysis into objective analysis. But if the idea here is that, and we have been bullish on this, is that this thing is going to continue, I would agree. I think that this thing closed at a beautiful price. Oh, that's right. Today is fucking Labor Day. There's no U.S. markets trading. No wonder it's so quiet. I think that this thing will break out and carry on with this rally into September, actually. Technically, it did not close above the very exact pivot that we spoke about last week at 7.77, but I think that it will. I think it will happen this month. Maybe there's a pullback short term. I don't know about that, but I would feel quite strongly that this thing will try a real breakout here. And at that point, where can it head up to? I mean, low double digits, like, I don't know, 10 and a half to $11.5, something like that. Could an inverse, what's the inverse head and shoulder? Oh, you're calling this an inverse head and shoulder? I don't even know if I'd call this an inverse head and shoulder. Kind of Quasimodo fucked up looking bastard. Well, actually, no, right here. Yeah, you kind of do. I don't know if I'd trust the measured move on that, to be honest, man. But I would just generally be looking up. Just the trend is your friend. You're resolving a four or so year long consolidation in this region here. Just, it's going up if that happens. It's going up. Don't need to make it any more complicated than that, man. I don't know, 15, 16 bucks, whatever. You know, I think it's generally just going to be going up on a long-term trend. That would look very, very nice. Timothy Aldinger says, how does Russell 2000 look on the weekly and monthly? Last week it looked really, really good. So let's see how it closed out the month. Yeah, I'd still say that this one's pretty good. You know, maybe there's a pullback sometime in September down to like 2290-ish region. I don't know, but I think that would be an opportunity. I think that this thing will retest the highs of 2024 after that. And at that point, it really is in a position to break out. This is good. This is actually good. I think it's very likely to even test, maybe even this month, 2470, the topside price action pivot here. You have a quarterly reversal in progress. You have a high, you have a low, you have a higher low, you have the same high right here. You're already around that same high as well. Kind of, you know, soon after that. That's typically quite a good sign. So yeah, I'd only be bearish on this thing if it came back down below. I mean, it's not even helpful, but 2140 basically. Like, it's quite far away. But yeah, below there, the current trend falls apart. Until then, this is threatening a real breakout to the upside. Now we have Daryl K. He's looking at Ethereum Bitcoin. All right. We've been bullish on this one, looking somewhere around 5-ish million Satoshis. See how close we are now. 4 million Satoshis. It is around the weekly 377 exponential. So this could be a good short-term pullback. I still think that this thing does likely go a little bit higher, at least to the green moving average, which is not that much higher. That's 4.6 million Satoshis. I've been saying between there and about 5-ish, maybe a little bit above 5-ish million Satoshis. But here's the thing. Already, we're seeing higher highs in the monthly RSI compared to the highs of May of last year, when this thing was trading at close to 6 million Satoshis. So why is that an issue? Because it's an issue because you're going to naturally have hidden bearish divergence potential as long as you're below this high, which is what, like 50% higher than where you're at right now? Yeah, 41% higher than where you're at right now. That's a long ways to go. Like, I think you're going to see a high somewhere around here. Then you get hidden bearish divergence, and this thing gets knocked back down. It comes back down to like 3 million Satoshis or something. And then who knows what happens after that. But, you know, the long-term trend for Ethereum Bitcoin pair is not good. It's not good. You have high, you have low, you have lower high, you have lower low, lower high, higher low, lower high, lower low. It's a downtrend. It favors the downside. But in the short term, yeah, I do think it goes up more. That's the difficult things about relating these ideas online. Well, honestly, it's not really that difficult. It's 99% of people actually do get it. And I fucking love it when I see the comments that really do get it. 1% of absolutely redacted people of the world who probably shouldn't even be on, you know, have an internet connection, shouldn't even be online. They don't necessarily get that. But yes, there's a difference between the short, medium, and long term. Crazy idea. No, they literally all go up to the exact same price in the next minute, whether you're talking about a fucking minute chart or a monthly chart. It's like, God. Anyways, I'll get back onto the comments over here. Let me take some more sips out of this. Did Krown move to Florida? No, we haven't really moved anywhere yet. We're still just kind of checking out places and seeing what's going to be right for us. We're just chilling. Creighton C says, yes, welcome back to America, sir, where we have real holidays like Labor Day. Fuck yeah, man. Elsa's first American Halloween. Actually, she has been here during Labor Day in the past before, but yeah, we're just going to... And actually Halloween as well, yeah. She hasn't been here during 4th of July, though, I don't think. Were you here in... Okay, no, I don't think so. Anyways, you want to look at Polygon? Polygon short term? Probably going to be absolutely fucking god-awful, but sure. Prior cycle shitcoin that hasn't done absolute shit during this current cycle. I don't know who the hell's selling you on this fucking bleached hopium, but wow, great chart, bro. Amazing. Oh my God. Wow, it's gonna definitely change the world. We're all gonna be using Polygon tokens to who knows what the fuck they do. Look, man, if you can't see through the sarcasm, I think that this is absolute fucking garbage in terms of chart. Can it rally up to the green moving average at 33, 34 cents? Maybe. But here is what we know about this amazing asset. Every fucking rally fails. Every fucking rally fails. So whether it fails right here, whether it fails from a little bit higher, I don't fucking know. What I can tell you is there is an extreme likelihood of this thing failing at some point on a lower high compared to your December 2024 highs. This thing is hot fucking garbage. Do I think it could rally up, like I said, to 40 cents? Possible, for sure. Do I think that would be a great place for another lower high? Hell yeah. This is fucking garbage. It's chart garbage. Look, people think that like I'm a Bitcoin maxi, which the only reason why I'm a Bitcoin maxi mostly is because of just looking at the chart. It has a nice chart. When I see things that have shitty charts, I call them shitty charts, which is the overwhelming majority of altcoins. They look all the same, just garbage like this, fucking garbage. It's been a bull market for 3 years. Bitcoin's making new highs for the last 2 years. This thing is nowhere fucking near its prior all-time highs, let alone a high for this cycle. It's just garbage, man. Absolute fucking garbage. Terrible. Just terrible. Not you. You're a nice person. Chart, very garbage. Very, very garbage, sir. Mr. Honey Singh Loverboy. Oh, definitely Indian. The Indians love this shit, man. What is up with the Indians and fucking Polygon? I don't understand. Do you guys just like scamming yourselves? What the fuck? Don't do it. Anyways, can you look at Stinky Link for Terry T's? Sure, man. Link, USD. Let's see what we got here. Again, among some of the better charts, at least it's above all major moving averages on a monthly. Again, nowhere near prior all-time highs, but at least around the high of this cycle. So it's a significantly better than the last thing we just looked at. Do I think there might be a pullback deeper from where you're at right now? I think it's very possible to like 21 bucks still. Same analysis as the past few weeks. I think you still might be in a pullback for 21 bucks, but overall this is okay, at least for now, as long as you're above $20. Below $20, my analysis starts to change around. But until then, you do have a low, you do have a higher high, you do have a higher low, higher high, higher low. Could this possibly make a new higher high? That is a trend right now. So I'd be friends with that trend at this moment. But again, below $20, I'd say this thing's falling apart. Until then, I do think there will be some short-term downside. Really want to see a reversal above $20. So back to the upside. That's what I'd say about that, man. You're a great guy, but the charts are garbage. Exactly. Formula One on the 4 hour. What is this? I don't even think, I think I'm being trolled because that's probably not a thing. It's some car stuff. Cars, crypto, and conspiracies. Very appropriate post content to your username ratio bro. Bearish divergence on the 3-week chart as well for the corns? Probably. I mean, if there's already for the monthly present, but not confirmed, then the 3 weeks should, in theory, be leading that up, and indeed it is. It is not confirmed just yet, but kind of hard not to see it get confirmed. But here's the problem with that. Front running these things, it's got another basically 2 weeks until this time frame closes. So sure, a lot of things can happen in between that time. And like I said, I am biased towards this thing trying some upside in the short term. Does it get back above a number that negates this bearish divergence? That's a real question. But yeah, the yellow moving average would be a nice target after that, and that's decently below $100,000. I should add. It's kind of crazy. Do you plan on having kids, Mr. Krown? It's always an interesting question, but yeah, we're kind of thinking about it. We will update you on our progress later. Check the MACD monthly. Actually, that's a really good idea. I completely negated it from my charts today. Like I said, I was running around with like literally shit hanging out of my asshole from the toilet back to the stream, back to the toilet. And I missed that. And the monthly time frame is continuing to see the histogram tick down here. There is bearish divergence on the histogram, yes. But the MACD, the signal that's really fucking good here on the MACD is when this thing actually crosses the signal line. I know it's boring way to look at it, but that is actually how every cycle and major correction has begun, is with that signal. So, whenever you have something that's been very consistent in that, I think you kind of have to give it respect. As of right now, we're just not going to see it. Extremely likely to see it cross down this month. It would require a closure below $80,000 according to Caretaker's reverse MACD. But this thing continues down as long as Bitcoin's below 110. So you're going to continue to see that histogram get closer and closer and closer to zero, and then flip negative as long as Bitcoin's below there. So yeah. Chris Fellow is looking at TAO daily weekly, looking to exit. I'm 50% up. I mean, if you're 50% up, man, that's never a bad time to at least take some profit, man. But let's go check it out. I I think you made an absolutely phenomenal trade, and I would 100 million% be taking profits at this exact moment. Look, you might hate me if this thing rallies back up to like 335, because it's possible that it might this month, but I think that this thing is turning down for the long term here, man. I think that this is on the precipice of like a major fucking breakdown, to be honest. Maybe there's a rally in between to like 335, 340-ish first. If I'm wrong, you'll know I'm wrong because this thing rallies back up and closes the daily dildo above 380. If that happens, I'm wrong and this thing is actually still good. But until then, I would feel a lot more confident saying that this thing is experiencing its next major top here. Yeah. And just again, putting it as blunt as possible, I do think that it is doing exactly that. Oops, my YouTube just reset in front of my face. Very annoying. Probably should take off my VPN before this. Is OKB a safe haven when Bitcoin sentiment is bearish? It went parabolic the other day. Oh God, where the fuck are you hearing this shit from? Well, it is an exchange token, so maybe. Look, when I see something like this, man, I get very, very, very concerned. Did it go up because Bitcoin went down? I highly doubt it. Did it go up because there's some fucking weird shit going on with the Chinese exchange that, plays outside of the usual regulation boundaries? Probably yes. Do I think it's putting in a top right here? Probably, but I really don't know, because these things can go crazy because, they are exchange tokens, and it's no secret that they really are massively manipulated. These things actually can be manipulated by the exchange themselves. And I think that's what we've seen with BNB. I think that's what we've seen with other exchange tokens. Now, I don't know for sure. I'm just speculating. Okay, so before they put lawsuits against me for even thinking these words, I don't actually fucking know. But I personally am just skeptical about these things. I mean, it's my personal opinion that I don't know, this thing's probably topping out here, to be honest. Anyways, you're wrong, Krown. Well, you are also not a very good grammar, sir. Can you learn how to spell wrong? What's your view on the 3 week candles to the down, the 3 weekly candles to the downside? Kind of like the 3 week down or the 3 day down rule that the Pasinos have. I mean, obviously it's never been a good thing, right? So let's go throughout history and see what 3 red weeks in a row from the high has meant. Well, we saw it recently here in January. This led to, from top to bottom, a 32% correction. Let's actually do this with the date and price range, and maybe I make an analysis out of this as well. Okay, we had 3 weeks down from the high over here in 2024, and that led to a 32% correction, 120 days. We had 3 weeks down from this high right here. It's not going to be a crazy one, but boom, 21 or 22. I mean, 22% is 22% for sure. 63 days. This one over here, 3 weeks down, but this was the low, so not a good one right there. Let's see, 3 weeks down from this bull trap in 2022. Boom. I mean, where do you even stop it? Like, it just goes all the way down. 3 weeks down from the high in 2021. That was the end of the market cycle. 3 weeks down on the Rona dump, but that was the low. 3 weeks down from the 2019 high over here and over here. And yes, this was a general downtrend, so I would count that one as good as well. 3 weeks down into the low of 2018. Also, no, not off the high of 2018 though. 3 weeks down over here, no follow through. 3 weeks down over here, no follow through. 3 weeks down over here, yes, lots of follow through. Kind of hit or miss, but it's generally not a good sign, is what I'd say. And recently, it has definitely not been a good sign. That has been all of your major corrections except for one. Jojo Trades Crypto says, hey, sir, what's up, man? Cardano, both scenarios and opinion overall. It could go up or it could go down. Let's see. Cardano, how did it close a month? Is it still above all major moving averages? It is. Again, my rule here is as long as it's above those, like, I can't hate it. But the second that it really comes back down below August open at 74 cents, I would start to treat this one as a real reversal with targets back down to like 60 cents or 55 cents even. For right now, the weekly, I really don't know on this one, man. This one's been kind of a tricky one for me, to be honest. If I had to call it short term, it should bounce first. You know, maybe back up to like 88 or 89 cents. But, you know, you do have lower highs here in the short term as long as you're below 96 cents. So kind of have to be a little bit more on guard as long as you're below there. But, I do think that there are some decent things going on here. There is some potential for hidden bullish divergence between the lows of August and your current lows going on here. So I do think you could get a rally back up to like 90 cents-ish, but that would still be a lower high. And then the real risk is coming back down below the August open. Below there, I think that this thing actually does fall apart. But until then, it's kind of similar to Link in that it does have the makings of an uptrend reversal here. It's just I'm always going to be super critical and super skeptical about, you know, shit like this. But to be fair, you know, it does have one of the better charts. At least it's not like super, super ultra shit like we saw from Matic, for example. That's what I'd say about that. What's up, Mr. Gallo? Thank you for that, sir. I do appreciate that. XLM 2 hour up or down, and when? I need to know when. Exactly right now. I don't know. Let's see. You already know this. 2 hour time frame is in a pretty nasty downtrend. You do have some hidden bearish divergence on this last high right here, but this is a pretty exaggerated downtrend at this point. Like, it wouldn't take too much to get a short term reversal. And personally, when I zoom out to the daily, I do think it will get a bounce here. I don't think it's going to continue to new lows without a bounce first. I do think it will bounce up to like 38 or 40 cents region. Still bearish overall, but I do think you get a pretty big bounce up there. Technically, Mr. Gallo, you'd want to see a 2 hour closure basically above the last 2 hour high. If you get back above there, even probably good enough. And I do think you will get that move to the upside. And I personally think that you'll get that move to the upside just in general, but that is another good place for the next lower high if this thing is going to come down later. But that's not your concern because you're on a 2 hour time frame, so probably don't give a fuck about that. All good, sir. Chris Vela is back. He says, PAL round trip a huge bag, but still up 300%. I don't think you round tripped anything then, man. That's a tremendous gain that very few people will ever see in their lives and actually hold on to it. Yeah, I absolutely would say the exact same thing about this one as the last one. Maybe you get another short-term rally to like 9 cents or something, but this thing I think is done for a very, very long time. The only way to change my opinion, which I highly doubt will happen, is if it pops back above your July highs of 15 cents almost. Until then, this thing is following the long-term deadbeat, the dead heartbeat chart of destiny, which is where most of these fucking things go to, which is just one high, another lower high, and many more lower highs for the rest of its life as it goes into irrelevance. Yeah. Like maybe a rally towards 9 cents. I don't know, but that would be a great place for another lower high if it does. Ultimately, long term, this thing I think heads back down to 2 cents. So yeah, cool, sir. Creighton C says, ironically, the 3 candle reversal pattern is called the 3 black crows went down and 3 white soldiers went up. Feels a little racist. It actually does, but there is a reason for that. Actually, I'm just going to justify the racism right now. This is maybe a greater institutionalized racism, actually, now that I think about it. But in the past, before there were colors on the chart like we see now, everything was white and black, and white was up and black was down, and so that's why. Now, why couldn't black be up and white be down? That's a question not for myself. I will not figure it out. Please, sir, can you please look at Hype BTC and doesn't need to hold whatever the hell? I don't know. Hype has been one of the better shitcoins this cycle for sure. Okay, we need to do it this way, I guess. There is actually no Hype BTC pairing. Now, it hasn't been around for multiple cycles, so we do not have the long-term, or wait, there actually is a downtrend here. I was expecting to see an uptrend on Hype versus Bitcoin, but I guess it's not as great as I thought. It still is among the better shitcoins, though, that's for sure. Look, long-term bad, man. Long-term bad. This thing, like Hype is going to be losing value to Bitcoin overall. Does it maybe rally up into this region here, which I don't even know what the number is because I can't find your exact ticker. Let me try this. I don't know. Is this Hype Bet? Is this what you're looking at? I thought you'd be looking at Hyperliquid. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, you don't need me to tell you what I fucking think about this. It doesn't need to hold anything. It's just it's going down for forever. It's going up for forever, Laura. It's going down for forever, sir. It's going down for forever, sir. Yeah, really bad. Really, really bad. All right. Gold starting to move. Good for our corns. They have not been playing. They have not been correlated for a while. I don't think, man. So I'd have to say, at best it doesn't matter, and at worst it would actually be a bad signal. But yeah, gold making new highs here. We looked at this one last week. We said, hey, this thing is fucking bullish, and yeah, maybe there's another reconnect with the red 5 EMA. But this is a perfect example of why I have that rule. When you're above all major moving averages on a time frame like the monthly, like the bias needs to be bullish. Yes, there's some selling dildos over here, but until they actually violate something that actually matters. Okay, well, I cannot find the right one, sir. Okay, you want to look at this, sir? Like, for fuck's sake, you need to type in these. If you're gonna do one of these exotic tickers, then you need to fucking type it out, because it's literally impossible for me to figure it out. Okay, I'll try this. Okay, does it need to hold 4? Okay, so this is actually what I was more expecting to see, to be honest, because hype should be going up versus Bitcoin, I would think. Yeah, I do think that it needs to hold that in order to maintain its current trend. Otherwise, it comes back down to like 377, something like that. And honestly, I think that this is probably a high being put in here, and it comes down overall. Again, personal opinion. God Bud 76. Who? Oh, Pith. P-Y-T-H. Okay. P-Y-T-H. All right. Pith Network. Yes. Oh, mate. For fuck's sake, Luffy. Muradova. Your last name is a lot easier to say. Look, you have a beautiful name. This is not a beautiful chart, okay? Beautiful name, not beautiful chart. Very bad chart. Very ugly chart. This is a chart that only a mother could love and should probably have been aborted very long ago. I mean, shit, for fuck's sake. This is why abortions are legal, okay? This is why contraceptives exist. So that shit like this, you don't invest in, because it's fucking garbage. It's absolute fucking garbage. This is the perfect place for the next lower high. I highly doubt it'll ever even go above August high in the foreseeable future. Could I be wrong? If I am, fucking kill me, okay? Generally, shit like this will only go down for forever. Yes, you get your one-off pumps every once in a while, like you got right here, or here, or here. But what do they all have in common? They all fail. They all fucking fail. And this one, very likely going to fail as well. If it does extend by some act of God, maybe you see 30 cents. I highly doubt it. If it did, I would be pressing the red fucking button as hard as you can. But I strongly believe this thing's already topped out here. This is ugly as fuck. Okay, not you. Beautiful name, not beautiful chart. Very bad chart. Very, very ugly chart. Okay, kill this chart. Very bad. Very fucking bad. I think this one's already topped out. It's bad. It's fucking bad. Terrible. Among the worst that we've seen today. Among the worst. Might not be the worst, but it's among the worst. Godbud says Shido. It's probably in the name. All right, it does exist on MEXC. Amazing! Wow! Okay, I take back what I said about the last chart. That was a chart of beauty compared to this fucking steaming pile of garbage. This fucking dumpster fire. Yeah, man. Going to the moon. Don't worry, bro. Day Richland says, Ethereum USD, 6 hour please. Hoping to close short from 48 at 40.70. Nice. That's a pretty damn good trade. I do think you... depends how long you're holding this thing for. The problem is like, I do think it could actually rally back up here around, maybe not to your entry, but like, you know, maybe back to like 46. I think it's possible. I also simultaneously think that it will come down kind of around your level, maybe not exactly to it, but somewhere around 4,100, let's say, you know, give or take a little bit from that number. The question is, does it do this, or does it pop up first and then come down? I really don't know. I really don't know. I do think that all roads do lead somewhere down around here, but like if it pops up a lot, for example, is that even worth it for you to hold at this point? I mean, that's a question only you can answer, obviously, but I would be considering that because it's not so clear to me. I do think in the short term you might get back down to like 43, low 43, but I am kind of inclined to say that a lot of these things do want to bounce a little bit before they come down rather than just come down. Like I said, I can be so fucking wrong about that. All right, cool. All right. What's up, Sanaz? What's up, Sanaz? And Peter's Ansel, he says the lawn has finally come in and it is nicely hedged. Nice. I like the sounds of that. Praying for a miracle. We need miracles on our charts. WLFI isn't that thing like 100% new? Man, you are just the king of bringing up the worst of the worst charts today, sir. I have to give you credit for that. It's a true skill to find the worst charts possible. Yeah, this is on its way to being one of those terrible charts, man. Great, perfect lower high here. This thing trade? Can you short this thing? That'd be amazing. All right, take care, JCG. Creighton says, if a token is issued and spikes up really high and then dumps for years with no new high and looks like a dead stake, it's probably never going to make a new all-time high again. You could generally apply that to almost everything, yeah. Every once in a while, that won't happen for sure. But, I mean, for fuck's sake, like, if you have to take one rule, that would be a damn good rule. So this shit's over or what? Well, we may never know the real answer to that question, Banana Mountain. We may never know. I'll read some more of these. Does seem like it's kind of a quiet day, though. You know, it is basically a holiday here. You want to look at Peter wants to look at Super on higher timeframes. Yeah, we can. Again, good friends with Elliot. Forgive me for whatever I say about this chart, though. Don't like it. I think that this is your next swing high. I think that this thing is honestly more likely to see a 4 handle than reverse here. Now, in the short term, like I said, I do think it's very possible for a lot of these things in the short term to maybe try some rallies, but the destination is the same, whether it happens sooner or later. You know, maybe it pops back up to like 63 cents or so, possible for sure. But I think that this thing's coming back down to these lows. Again, just shooting you straight. You know, and we've seen a lot of these today. We've seen a lot of these things today. What about fart derp? Again, same thing. It's like might rally up to low 80s, possible. But this thing, I mean, this is a fucking high here. That is a swing high. I think it's a lot more likely to come down to see a 4 handle as well. Maybe it rallies to 80 cents first or a little bit above 80 cents first. Possible for sure. But I don't think it's reversing there. That is fucking ugly. Can you have a look at Bugbear? Well, message was retracted, so I guess not. All right, CRV. Oh God, 1 in 4. Okay, well at least it's low term time frame, so maybe you can eke some shit out there. Yeah, a great chart, man. Great fucking chart. So that's what we're dealing with long term. So always have to be biased towards any rally failing. And what does a 4 hour look like? It looks like there isn't even a rally to fail. It's just down. It's just a nice downtrend. The trend is your friend. I don't know, man. Maybe you're short this thing, in which case I say, very well done, sir. I think you're going to at least test this low back here from this morning or yesterday. I don't know. Maybe there's a bounce here. Maybe there's not. But ultimately, I think that this thing will come down to 60 cents and then, 65 cents and then like 55 cents. And long term, this is probably like we looked at this thing back in July during this high, and I said, hey, you're hitting the white 200-cent moving average on the weekly time frame. This is a down only chart. This is a great place for the next lower high. Okay. Formula One. All right, we will look at Formula One if it's a real thing. Formula One. Can't find it on TradingView, man. It must be too far down the shitcoin drawer, sir. I apologize, but it's unfortunately not available for our viewing. Thales, the Greek, says TGT. Oh, Target. Yeah, let's look at Target. This is like Elsa's favorite corporation. No, Costco is for sure. Again, you know, long term, it actually does have a pretty good chart. In the more short term, I guess, relative to that, very bad. Obviously, it's still in a downtrend. But I do think you're putting in a low somewhere around this like $80-ish number. But you know, in the short term, does that mean we come back down and test around there? Yeah, I think it comes back down to like 90-ish region. Maybe it spends some time going sideways here. In fact, it very likely does. But I do think that, you know, you're putting in a low, like the next macro low, somewhere between 90 and 80. That's generally what I think about this thing. But it's going to take a long time. Like, unless if you're fucking looking a decade out, I don't like. It's kind of, yeah, I agree. It's kind of dead money. Is it a good value buy if you're looking like 20 years out? But think of all the things that you're going to miss out on in the interim that, you know, probably aren't just going to be going sideways on the lows. Yeah, something to consider. Cars and crypto, man, that is way too long of a ticker to type out, my man. Way too long of a ticker. Krown, do you look at liquidity buildup? No, I think that all of that shit is absolute fucking hogwash garbage. I'll tell you why. Looking at fucking liquidity, you know, people don't even know what the fuck liquidity means. It's one of those buzzwords that people just throw out and like, oh, we need more liquidity or we need more volume. Like, they don't even know what the fuck it means. They're just using it because it makes them sound smart. Sounds smart to like people who don't know who have even less of a clue of what the hell is going on. But yeah, liquidity buildup. I don't think anything like this really truly matters in an objective way. Why? Because when you're talking about liquidity, what you're actually talking about is you're talking about probably heat maps, which are just showing you orders in the order book that are present right now, which cool, great. Have you ever put in an order in the order book and you don't actually want it to get filled, or you end up changing it at a moment's notice? I'm sure you have, or maybe you only press the market buy or sell button, in which case you're redacted. But if you have done that, you know how easy it is to, one, manipulate that. Two, you also, if like, let's say you're a big fucking whale, like you're a big fucking hedge fund, and you know that all these crypto morons are somehow thinking that they have an edge looking at fucking, you know, order books. And you know that you can paint those order books, and it's not even against the rules. In traditional markets, it's actually against the rules. You can't put in orders as a market maker that you don't intend to get filled. It's actually illegal to do that. Now, good luck proving it, but you know, it is illegal to do it. Anyways, in crypto land, there is not that rule. So you are free to put in all of the fucking orders that you want, to paint things to make them look one way. And then you get all these fucking idiots on Twitter being like, hey, did you see that there's like 1 million coins offered here and 1 billion coins offered or bid there? Wow, that must be where things are going. It's like, no, doesn't fucking matter. You can delete those things in literally the click of a button, obviously. And what's more to the point is that it's probably not even a person doing it to begin with. It's a fucking bot. It's an algo that can do it before you even blink. You know, it's responding to other bots as well. I mean, you're just gonna get lost looking at that shit. You're just gonna get lost and fucking lose your mind trying to make sense out of something that is subjective. It's not even real. Like, those are just orders, like imagination orders. The only orders that actually matter are market orders. Why? Because those are the orders that actually move price. You need to have a market order by definition to move price. It cannot move any other way. It literally cannot move any other way. And are you going to see market orders in the order book? By definition, you can't, because they get executed at fucking market. Like, so people don't understand the fucking fundamentals of how markets even fucking work. And so they think that this shit like matters a lot. Can it make people will swear by it as like an edge? I'm sure you found some instances where it might work out. Maybe it's a little bit of, you know, confirmation bias, but I can assure you that it will always it has to inherently be less subjective than just looking at straight up price. And what is straight up price going to show you? It's going to show you market orders every fucking time. Money isn't real. That's right. Tell that to the cash register next time you try to buy groceries. It's like, don't you know cash isn't real? This shit doesn't exist. It's all a human construct. Yeah, I get it. When you go to college and you go to your first psychology course or philosophy course and you think you're a fucking genius and you think of the most obvious thing that's obvious and you're like, none of it's real. It's all a construct. Unfortunately, constructs are real. Are there any books you can recommend to expand knowledge of markets? I think reading books for like trading strategies and stuff like that is a farce. Like, it's difficult enough to do it on video. Like, good luck fucking explaining like complicated shit on a book. And then the good things for books can be good for just general knowledge. But again, I think it's difficult enough to make videos and like show things. Like, so again, on books, it's going to be very difficult. What I think books are really good for are psychology. So Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas is one of the OG ones. Livermore's books are pretty good. He was a trader from 100 years ago, and his story is pretty fucking cool and very relatable to, you know, what people are doing today as well, despite being very, very old. I think some of the OG investment books are pretty good. Like the stuff from Peter Lynch, I've gotten a lot of value from. I've gotten a lot of value from listening to Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger talk. And it's not necessarily even their books. It's just like kind of, you know, podcasts of them or, you know, shit like that. Other than that, like, You know, the classic one is traditional market profits and or technical analysis and stock market profits, something like that. It'll give you like a basic knowledge in classical TA. But like I said, I think you'll honestly get more from watching a YouTube video, just because it needs to be a bit more interactive. You need to see things in motion. And, you know, I have plenty of free materials on my own YouTube. Like, you don't have to pay a fucking cent. You just go watch the playlist. That'll give you a very basic knowledge and understanding. I'm sure other people have great fucking playlists as well. And assuming that it's on YouTube, it's going to be free too. So I would start there, honestly, man. It's just really finding someone that you, one, understand, and two, you've seen like their like whatever they're looking at, like it actually works. So yeah. Asti wants to look at hype. We can look at hype, and then we'll look at manipulation and distribution. You already know my thoughts on that, man. But I can say a few sound bites on that as well. Why is there not a more long? I know I have it here as well. Hold on. All right. Oh, this was on Bluffin. Hype is kind of difficult because it certainly looks significantly better than the overwhelming majority of shit that we've seen today. We still got higher lows. You're still making the same highs. So I am biased towards the upside just based off of trend. But here's the thing, Asti, is that if this thing really comes back down below 42 bucks and closes the daily below there, I would be very quick to put it in the same basket as what I think most other things are going to do, which is generally correct. And at that point, I'd be looking for this thing to come back down to like mid or low 30s overall, with stops along the way, of course. But for right here, you know, still in a better position than 99.9% of shit, with still an uptrend, which Bitcoin doesn't even have. Bitcoin doesn't even have an uptrend right now on the daily time frame. This one does. So yeah, putting things into perspective, like actually quite good. What the fuck is that noise? Anyways, Gallo says general thoughts on manipulation, distribution, these sort of things. I mean, distribution and accumulation are real concepts. Just again, people throw around these terms like without really understanding what they mean. But there are like definitions for this. But I'm guessing you really want to focus on manipulation. Like people love to blame a price action move on manipulation when in reality, first off, there is no such thing as manipulation in crypto because there's no rules or laws against it. In traditional markets, yes, there is laws against it. Like you literally cannot, like I said, for example, put in orders in the order book that you do not want to get filled. So by definition, there's actually no such thing as manipulation. Manipulation is typically the word that people use to refer to things happening that they didn't want to happen. Not actually just taking it, responsibility for their fucking shitty decisions and trying to understand what went wrong or trying to fix it, but instead just being like, well, it's manipulated. It's fucking manipulated. It's like, first off, you can't prove that. Second off, manipulation. Okay, how do you even define manipulation in crypto? Well, like I said, it's not even a legal thing there to begin with, so it doesn't exist. But people probably mean that some big hedge fund or someone bigger than them, they usually use the word whale, which is fucking retarded term. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Anyways, they'll use some term like that and be like, they're manipulating the price. Okay, first off, how are they going to manipulate price? Think about the logistics of this, because you probably have not thought about this for more than 5 seconds. If you are a quote unquote whale or big quant firm, basically you just have a shit ton of money. Okay, let's say you have $1 billion and you want price to look a certain way. So you start to do certain things and, I don't know, you start to buy a Bitcoin because you want to make it look bullish or something like that. What happens when another fucking big account, whether it be a whale or a big hedge fund, which do exist because there's not just one, by the way, and they're all competing with each other. What if they say, fuck this guy's this guy is not positioned properly. I'm going to go fuck this guy's plan up. Or you don't even know his plan. You just do something else. That just completely fucks up the original person's plan. So you don't even know if you're a whale because first off, this market is worldwide. There are people that can also enter it who also have more or less unlimited money. And it can be a career-ending move if you think that you can paint things one way and you don't consider that there's someone else, or maybe even multiple other people, because there are multiple other people that can combat that. You can't do that. You can't do that. It could literally ruin your whole fucking thing. Late but much hate from South Africa. Fuck yeah, man. Good to have you here. Good to have you here as well. The Whiskey Reaper says, shoutouts to 97,000 Bitcoin incoming. Thank you for letting me know, sir. I appreciate your advanced warning. My 1% bet odds on Polymarket did not turn $100 into 100,000. Interesting. I don't know. I've never really looked too much into Polymarket. It's an interesting concept, though. All right, we'll look at these last couple ones, and then we will call it a day. Honey Sing Loverboy says render. R-E-N-D. I think. Have you been the shitcoin master today, sir? Oh, wow, another shitty chart. Amazing. Just incredible. At least it made a new high this cycle, though. I will say that. There is that. But yeah, this thing is in a very nasty downtrend here. I would be... Again, I don't know if it rallies in the short term. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I don't think it's getting back above 470 anytime soon. I think it's a lot more likely to come back down to 270 and maybe even beyond. I mean, it is in a downtrend here and very ugly. MNT, has it found a top? Many things have. No, I haven't done Solana. I'll do Solana really quick. Actually, better than most things we've seen today. But, you know, is this one putting at a top here is a question? I think probably yes, honestly. I do think it's a short-term top at least, and it comes down sometime during this month close to like $1, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like a top just yet or anything like that. All right, guys, when I say it's over, like, don't fucking send in more super chats for fuck's sake. All right, we'll look at Solana. We'll look at Solana Derpa. I don't know. I still struggle with Solana in the same way that I do with Link and Cardano. It's above all major moving averages here, so I'm not going to hate it. Do I think it corrects in the short term, maybe back down to like 185? Probably yes. But again, my rule is as long as you're above all major moving averages on a higher term time frame like this, I'm not going to be bearish on it. That also does mean if this thing comes back down below like 170, then I become very bearish on it and looking for big moves to the downside. But until then, I'd be cautious on it. But it's actually, again, better than most things we've seen today. I do have to warn you, though, I really do think that it is probably putting in a high here, but that's just a personal opinion, not really supported by much. So, yeah. All right. We'll do one last one for Mr. Aaron. One last one, sir. All right. USDT. We're not doing all of those ones, man. We only do one per one person. If you haven't figured it out by now, I do apologize. But yeah, tether dominance, I'm still bullish on this, man. It's in the same bottoming area that we've spoken about many a time. And it's working its way from that bottoming area. It's the same bottoming area that we saw from the December high and also the March of 2024 high. So, you know, there's gonna be ebbs and flows along the way. If you want to play things by the book, we'd really want to see an actual move above 460. Yeah, 460 first before calling a real reversal. But I do think that this one is very likely to continue up here. Like I said, there's going to be twists and turns along the way. Maybe there's a downside move first and we get a crypto rally and then it moves to the upside. I don't know. But overall, I think that this thing is going to see a 5 handle. I don't know about this month, but sometime in the next couple of months, something like that. And then come back to it after that. But yeah, like whether this thing comes down or not, I don't think it's going to make a new low. That's my main point. Like, I don't think it's going to make a new low. I think, you know, maybe gets stuck somewhere down around here and then rallies up. But, you know, if it did something like that, most cryptos are going to rally like, you know, pretty well. But most of those rallies, as we went over in today's video, are going to be into lower highs if we see something like that. So, yeah. All right. Okay. What's your workout routine at the moment? I work out 4 days a week. I do a bro split. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, man. Anyways, yeah, just do that for fucking, oh my God, I've been doing it for like 16 years now. Jesus, I should probably be bigger. Do that for like 10 years. It'll change you. Anyways, that's it for today. I want to say a massive thank you for joining in during this, what is more or less a holiday. Pretty fucking cool that we still got people hanging around during a Labor Day. For me, it's still another day anyways. I'm going to get a haircut later today. I'm very excited about that. And other than that, I want to wish everyone well. As always, take care, much love, and see you hopefully on Tuesday. We'll do a big statistical analysis video.